My name is Bree, and I want to share my own PCOS story and help others learn about PCOS during the process of me sharing my story and my experiences. A disclaimer for this video: I am not a medical professional and I am not giving anyone medical advice. This is my story, what I have learned from doing my own research about my own personal health. And I do encourage you that if you need medical advice or you need actual medical resources, that you reach out to your own healthcare provider in order to get that information. So, in today's video, I'm going to answer the biggest question that anybody could have as far as my PCOS story goes, and that is, what is PCOS? PCOS stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, and PCOS is a hormonal disorder. That's the most basic term that I could put it in, is just PCOS is a hormonal disorder. During a woman's menstrual cycle, the production of certain hormones like estrogen, LH, FSH, progesterone, and etc. cause specific things to happen during your cycle at specific times. So, typically if you have PCOS, these kinds of hormones are out of balance, and therefore they are not triggering specific things to happen for you during your cycle. Some common symptoms of PCOS are things like abnormal or absent menstruation, high androgen levels or a hormonal imbalance, body hair in places that women shouldn't typically have body hair, like the chin, your cheeks, your belly, your feet, places like that. Thinning of hair and male pattern baldness is also another symptom, along with things like insulin resistance, hormonal acne, ovarian cysts, infertility, anxiety, depression, weight gain, inability to lose weight, and etc. There's tons and tons of PCOS symptoms. Those are just some from the very top of the list. So another question that I'm going to answer in this video, because I know it's going to be one of the very next questions, is how do you know if you have PCOS? You are going to need a diagnosis from a medical doctor, usually your primary care doctor or your OBGYN. When you go to the doctor and you tell them your symptoms, they're going to run some tests. Typically what they're going to do is run some blood work, check like hormone levels, like a metabolic panel, all that good stuff. They may do something like an ultrasound. They're going to get your medical history. They're going to get your current symptoms that you have going on, all that good stuff. They are going to take all of that information and use something called the Rotterdam criteria to help diagnose you with PCOS. Not every doctor, but a lot of doctors will use the Rotterdam criteria to diagnose you with PCOS. What this criteria is, or how it works, is you need to meet 2 out of the 3 specifications within the Rotterdam criteria to be diagnosed with PCOS. So the 3 things that are in that Rotterdam criteria are high androgen levels or a hormonal imbalance, ovulatory dysfunction, and polycystic ovaries. So I'm gonna break down the Rotterdam criteria and explain that to you a little more in depth in a future video, so stay tuned for that. But that is typically how a doctor will diagnose you with PCOS. They'll look at all of your health information and they'll see if those Rotterdam criteria apply to you, and they'll make that official diagnosis for you. So, the next biggest question is how do I like know if I have PCOS? So we talked about how you get diagnosed with it, but how do you know that you have PCOS, or what are some things that you should look for that would prompt you to think maybe I do have PCOS? I'm gonna share my own personal symptoms with you and things that I haven't had these same symptoms my entire life. My PCOS, I knew I had it when I was 13 years old because I was diagnosed at my doctor's office. My primary care physician had ran a blood work panel. She's seen a couple of things on the blood work panel that were suspect to her. So my A1C was in the pre-diabetic level, like it was in that pre-diabetic range, and I had a hormonal imbalance. She didn't tell me what hormones were imbalanced or the extent of that. None of the like nitty-gritty details of that were discussed with me. She just told me I had a hormone imbalance. And based off of the fact that I had a hormone imbalance and the fact that I had abnormal menstruation, meaning I did not get a period every 28 to 35 days like a normal person is supposed to, she diagnosed me with PCOS. Now, throughout my life, I've had several symptoms of PCOS, and I'm going to share those things with you. Also, don't mind my iPad here. All my notes are on my iPad to keep me on track, so if you see that, please ignore it. But my personal symptoms of PCOS are rapid weight gain. So I noticed from the time I was 16 to the time I was 19, I gained about 110 pounds within that 3-year time period. It was a pretty significant amount of weight to gain within 3 years. And no matter what I did within that 3-year period, I could not lose the weight. I done a ton of yo-yo dieting. I tried a ton of supplements. I tried a couple of medications prescribed to me by my doctor. None of that stuff was working for me. I just kept packing on weight no matter what I was doing. I later found out that rapid weight gain and the inability to lose weight was most likely caused from insulin resistance. I know that I have insulin resistance because of two things that I know now that I'll discuss way more in depth in a future video. But I know that I have insulin resistance because my A1C was pretty consistently in the pre-diabetic range, and also I have high levels of testosterone in my body, like free testosterone is high. I just have a lot of symptoms that are a lot of problems that you get when you have an insulin resistance issue. Another symptom that I have is unwanted hair. So I more recently than ever, I've been growing hair on the sides of my face, like really dark in this area. They're like sideburns on a male, but they're a lot of hair growing in this area of my face. I've had a mustache growing on my face, not super thick, not super predominant when I was younger, but the older I get, that is getting darker, it's getting thicker, it's getting more predominant. And recently, within the last 6 months, I'm noticing I'm getting a lot of hair in my chin area. So it's like right in here on like both sides of my chin. There's a lot of like little patches that are growing, some pretty thick, dark colored hairs. I also have absent menstruation. I had no period at all from March of 2017 to November of 2021. And the only reason I had a period in November of 2021 is because I went to an OBGYN for the first time. She confirmed that I had PCOS. She prescribed a medication called Provera to me. And the only reason that I consistently have a period now is if I'm taking the Provera like I'm supposed to. Infertility is another symptom that I am currently experiencing. I know that I'm not 100% trying to get pregnant at this particular point in time. I'm trying to heal my body and my PCOS so I can easily get pregnant within the next couple of years. That is my goal. That's what I want to do. But I am learning so much about PCOS and the fact that I have infertility, and that's hard. But I'm learning that because of my absent menstruation, I'm not ovulating. I'm learning that my hormones are out of balance and they're causing me to not have my period on my own. I know that I have infertility. That's something that I know I struggle with and that I hope I can fix and not continue to struggle with in the future. I have hair thinning. I don't particularly have male pattern baldness, but the last like 6 months especially, my hair is just getting so thin, and it is getting so thin so quick. I take a shower and I brush my hair, I straighten it, whatever I'm doing to keep it in check for the next couple of days, and my hair is falling out in handfuls. Like, I will wash my hair in the shower and I'll like rinse everything out and kind of like run my fingers through the most tangly parts of my hair, and there's just hair covering my hands. Like, it's just awful. Like, it's coming out in handfuls. And really the last two symptoms that I know that I have, that are not 100% caused by PCOS, but they are attributed to PCOS, are anxiety and depression. I have had anxiety since I was a teenager, since I was like 13, 14 years old. It turned into like full-blown panic attacks. It's consistently been an issue throughout my entire life, or at least for the last 10 years of my life. And depression is also something that I had, particularly when I was taking birth control for the first time as a teenager, is when I first noticed the depression. However, in the last 6 months, that depression has been consuming and unmanageable. It's been awful. Like, I've gone through some of the worst depression that I've ever had in my entire life within the last 6 months, and that's been such a struggle. And I mean, I know why it is so bad right now. I just don't want to share that because that's pretty personal, but still, it's bad. So another big question I know I'm gonna have is, how do I treat my PCOS? So if you've gone through this whole video and you've learned a little bit about PCOS and what it is, how it's diagnosed, the symptoms of it, all of that good stuff, your next question is automatically going to be, well, if I have it, how do I fix it and how do I treat it? I'm going to briefly touch on that in this video because that's something that is pretty comprehensive. It's something that needs to be talked about in depth, because there's a lot to it. That's a very loaded question, and the answer that I have for you as far as how to treat it is not the best answer, and honestly I don't think that there is a great answer as far as to how you're going to treat it, because what works for one person may not work for another person. There's just so many different factors that go into play here. The two main things that anybody and everybody is going to tell you when you say, yeah, I have PCOS, they're going to immediately be like, lose weight. They're immediately going to be like, change your lifestyle, change your diet, change your exercise, right? Like, those are literally the only things that my doctor has told me to do, aside from take birth control or the Provera medication to have my period every month. But aside from taking the medication, the only things that they've told me to do are change your diet and your lifestyle. Most of the time that works for people. A lot of the time that works for people. But what they don't tell you is, if you are somebody like me who is overweight, who gained weight rapidly during a period of your life, who is having a difficult time losing the weight, they don't really tell you how to help that situation, right? Like, they'll tell you to go to a nutritionist or see a weight loss specialist, and some people do that and they have great results. Me personally, I've seen a nutritionist. I did not have great results. I've had a personal trainer in the past. I did not receive great results from that experience either. So I'm setting out on a mission to figure some of that stuff out on my own and test out a couple of theories and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And that is the main reason why I'm sitting down and making this video today, and why I will continue to do so in the future. So, how you treat it is pretty subjective. It depends on you as a person and like where you are in your PCOS journey and your health journey and all of that good stuff. A couple of other options that you have to look into are seeing like a reproductive endocrinologist can sometimes really help with the hormonal imbalance. There are a ton of treatments for any symptom that you have of PCOS. So if you have unwanted hair growth, an endocrinologist can recommend some decent medications that could potentially help you with that issue. If you're struggling with infertility in PCOS, you can see a fertility specialist in your OBGYN. You can come up with a plan. There are medications you can take to help you ovulate. There are treatments that you can do like IUI and IVF to help you get pregnant. If you have insulin resistance, there are medications that you can take. There are supplements you can take. There's prescription medications. There's tons of treatment options for every symptom of PCOS. So, really, I'm just going to cover the rest of that question in a future video because it's such an extensive thing to sit down and talk about. But I would say the main thing, if you're interested in treating your PCOS, the first thing that you need to do is figure out what is contributing to your PCOS, or why do you think your PCOS is happening to you? Why do you think it is bad at this particular point in time? Whatever the answer to that question may be, you gotta answer it. There are people who theorize that there are 4 different kinds of PCOS, and they say that the first step in treating your PCOS is figuring out which kind you actually have. So that's also the journey that I'm about to embark on, is sit down and look at all the different kinds of PCOS and try and figure out which one I actually have, and use some treatment methods based off of that answer to see if I can get things under control. I probably did not use my words as good as I could have there, but that's just kind of where I'm at with the PCOS. So, I hope you enjoyed watching that video and that it helped you learn something about PCOS that you didn't already know. I hope that it helps you to hear someone else's story and personal experience with PCOS. And I hope that you know you are not alone if you're going through your own little journey, whatever that may be. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video.